Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Night draped the city in velvet darkness, while streetlights turned the snow-laden roads into glowing ribbons. Outside, silence ruled. Inside the most opulent nightclub in town, chaos and music pulsed through the air. In room 888 of the presidential suite, Longine stirred from a hazy sleep. Blinking, she found herself alone, her fiancé and her best friend nowhere in sight. Confusion flickered. Wasn't tonight supposed to be her bridal shower? So why had she woken up abandoned? A sudden wave of nausea cut her thoughts short. She staggered to the bathroom. The moment she pushed open the door, a low, heavy breathing reached her ears. She frowned, certain she was in the ladies' room, and stepped forward. One cubicle stood half open. Inside, two men were kissing with desperate hunger, one with his pants halfway down. "Baby, hurry up, take me from behind. I can't last long," one panted. The voice jolted her sober. It was Lou Ziffin, the man she was supposed to marry tomorrow. Her mind reeled. Their families had been preparing for this alliance for months. And yet here he was, not with a mistress, but with a man. Disgust rose in her throat. She whipped out her phone, hitting record. Through the screen, she caught every shameless kiss, her hands trembling in fury. Halfway through, the sharp click of stilettos echoed closer. Longine ducked into the shadows just as the door swung open. Ziffin, the delicate, syrupy voice, froze her blood. Hirawashia, her best friend. Lou Ziffin quickly shoved his male lover aside. "Hush, I'm just playing along with her," he muttered to the man. "Once this is done, you'll get what's yours." He stepped out, catching Ruashua in his arms. "Baby, aren't you scared Longine will find out you came here?" Longine's eyes went wide. He wasn't just sleeping with men. He was sleeping with her best friend, too. Ruashua giggled, her tone dripping malice. The toilet's more exciting, and Longine's too drunk to notice. The betrayal hit like ice water. 10 years ago, the He family had adopted Ruashua, giving her the best of everything. And this was how she repaid them, by conspiring with Ziffin. Pressed against him, Ruashua whispered, "You'll have the information soon." Ziffin smirked. "Good. Tomorrow, during the engagement banquet, you'll expose the He family's biggest secret. They'll lose everything. Then I'll swoop in as the savior, marry you, and you'll be Mrs. Liu." Greed lit up Ruashua's eyes. Longine's face hardened, her pain buried under cold calculation. She couldn't act now. She needed proof. Ruashua and Ziffin stumbled into a cubicle, tearing at each other's clothes. Longine's gaze fell on the heap of garments on the floor. An idea sparked. Quietly, she filmed them through a crack in the door, then pocketed her phone. On her way out, she plucked Ruashua's underwear from the pile and looped it over the door handle. Without a sound, Longine left, her anger no longer a storm, but a blade. As Longine turned to leave, a pudgy man with glassy eyes and a dusting of white powder on his nose stumbled into her path. "Hey, little girl, want a taste?" he slurred, pawing at her shoulder. Her response was swift and lethal, one sharp strike to the side of his neck. The man wheezed, his knees buckling as he collapsed a few steps from the restroom. Without hesitation, Longine snatched up the small packet of powder he dropped. She cracked the cubicle door open just enough and, with precise aim, slid the packet across the floor. It came to rest neatly inside the stall, where Lou Ziffin and Hirawashua were tangled in their treachery. Outside, she grabbed a toilet under repair sign and planted it by the door before anyone else could wander in. Then she crouched beside the unconscious man. Using his limp left hand like a glove, she fished a phone from his shirt pocket, dialed with his right index finger, and pressed it to her ear, still holding it with his hand. Her voice was pitched high, trembling. "Is this the police? I want to report people involved in the sex trade at the nightclub's ladies' room. They're also doing drugs. Please hurry before someone gets hurt." She hung up the moment she'd given the location. Then she dialed again, this time to Jiang City's most notorious entertainment reporter. By the time tomorrow's engagement banquet rolled around, the Liu family would be choking on the scandal. Within minutes, a squad of officers stormed the nightclub, heading straight for the ladies' room. Spotting the thong looped over the stall handle, one officer kicked the door open. "Police! Step out immediately!" Inside, Lou Ziffin was seconds from climax when the bang jolted him. His curse died in his throat at the word police. He shoved Ruashua off his lap, pulling up his pants with frantic hands. She slammed into the wall with a muffled gasp, her face twisting in pain before fear took over. "Ziffin, why are they here? What do we do?" She scrambled for her clothes, only to find them gone. "Hide next door. Now." His tone was pure steel. He pushed her out into the adjoining cubicle, straight into the arms of his half-naked male lover. The man's hand clamped over her mouth, holding her down with deliberate malice. When the police burst in, Ziffin was standing there, clothes rumpled but face composed. The smell in the air told them enough, though they kept their tone polite. "Young Master Lou, we've received reports of prostitution and drug use in this restroom. Please step aside." Before he could answer, the reporter strode in, holding out his phone. "Young Master Lou, I was sent these photos of you and your sister-in-law in a compromising position just minutes ago." Ziffin's expression stayed smooth. "That's absurd. My fiancé, Helan Jean, is in room 888. We're to be engaged tomorrow. Everyone knows this. The photo is fake." He turned to the officers. "Search if you must, but slander my family's name, and you'll answer for it." The reporter's gaze slid to the next cubicle. "Then let's start there." Ziffin forced a smile. "Be my guest." But before anyone moved, Ruashua burst from the stall, bare, panicked, and straight into the camera flashes. Gasps filled the room. "Master Lou," someone called out, "isn't that your fiancée's sister? Why were you in here together?" Ziffin's blood boiled. Ruashua's foolishness had just handed the reporters their scandal on a silver platter. He pounded on the stall she'd emerged from. "Come out. Now." An officer yanked the door open, and out stepped Zhao Yui, shirtless, trousers missing. The crowd erupted in murmurs. Was Jiang City's golden heir caught in a threesome? Zhao Yui's jaw clenched. He yanked Ruashua close, shielding her with his body. "She's with me. We're just a couple having fun." "Ever heard of that?" Ziffin's rage cooled. Zhao was covering for him. Perfect. But the reporter wasn't done. His eyes narrowed on Ziffin's shoes. "Young Master Lou, what's that stuck to the bottom of your sole?" The police quickly searched the entirety of the toilet and found a pack of white powder inside one of the cubicles. They examined Lou Ziffin's and Hiroashua's shoes and said gravely, "Young Master Lou, please come with us, too." The top floor of the nightclub, the VIP room, point 2. A tall figure stood imperially in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. He watched the goings-on in the nightclub through the custom-made, one-way transparent glass wall. Nothing special was happening, but his curiosity was piqued when he saw a slender figure sneaking into the surveillance room, point 2. He couldn't believe it. Someone actually had the gall and the skill to bypass his security system, go into the surveillance room and silently and quickly hack all the surveillance camera footage from half an hour ago. Very curious, indeed, point 2. The corners of Xiao Hanya's mouth curled into a vile smirk. He swirled the wine in his goblet, the red liquid arching beautifully to the movement of his steady hand, point 2. "What's going on?" Xiao Hanya asked quietly, his magnetic voice seeming to reverberate in the room. His eyes scanned the entirety of the nightclub nonchalantly, and he raised his eyebrows at the sight of a fascinating figure, point 2. "Master," began Han Beiqing in a low voice, respectfully standing one step behind Xiao Hanya. Someone reported that the young master of the Liu family was having sex with his future sister-in-law in the toilet. The entertainment reporters and the police caught him in the act, which led to his arrest. 2. Xiao Hanya's expression froze. He elegantly lifted his goblet and drank the wine in one gulp, his thin lips slightly pursed. Under the dim light, his face was as flawless as a knife. His deep dark and cold eyes narrowed slightly, point 2. "Find out who did it," Xiao Hanya ordered, his voice cold and deep. The temperature in the VIP room instantly dropped by 20 degrees as the master spoke, freezing Han Beiqing's entire body, point 2. It's young Master Lu's fiancée, He Lanjin. The He and Lu families are supposed to seal their alliance in the engagement party tomorrow, Master Han Beicheng reported. Somehow, Missy found out about the betrayal and reported that the traders were engaged in the sex trade. I'm afraid she's not as useless as the rumors say. Han Beicheng paused, wincing at the thought that the young miss from the He family breached the nightclub security system. Point 2. Much to Han Beicheng's surprise, Xiao Hanya let out a laugh. The master's deep and usually cold eyes flashed with a playful smile. Go and take down all the surveillance cameras tonight, too. Han Beicheng was stunned. He glanced at a certain sly, slender figure in the surveillance cameras. He did not dare to be negligent for even half a second and left. Point 2. 15 minutes ago, He Lanjin went for a midnight snack and broke into the nightclub surveillance room. Taking advantage of the commotion that diverted the attention of the guards, He Lanjin hacked into the nightclub surveillance system. To cover her tracks, she erased all video footage that showed her whereabouts during the last hour. She hurriedly went on her way back to the private room, colliding into a tall man whose face she did not see. Her arm was still sore from bumping into him, and she almost lost her phone when it flew from her grasp. Good thing she was smart enough to pick it up before running into the room. Point 2. He Lanjin massaged her arm and poured a bottle of wine on herself. She sprawled on the table, pretending to be drunk and asleep. Point 2. Not long after, He Lanjin heard the private room door open. Point 2. Miss He, something bad has happened. Your fiancé and your sister are in trouble. The police took them away. He Lanjin slowly raised her head, pretending to have been woken up by the waiter. Before she could say anything, entertainment editors flooded the room, holding up microphones and taking photos and videos of her. Point 2. The reporters have come to prove that she had nothing to do with tonight's incident. He Lanjin's plan was falling into place. She feigned confusion, looking at everyone with a dazed expression on her face. Point 2. How could that be possible? He Lanjin drunkenly asked. She belched and shook her head in disbelief. Ruoxue and Ziffin are lying here drunk. Why would the police take them? He Lanjin stood up and staggered. She let out a long burp, convincing everyone within earshot that she was really drunk. Point 2. One of the reporters stepped away from the group and firmly held He Lanjin's arm. He pulled her down the stairs, short of dragging her. Point 2. Miss He, please wake up, said the reporter in a stern voice. Your fiancé, Lu Ziffin, and your sister, He Ruoxue, were caught in a compromising situation. We saw them with our own eyes. The police also found drugs in their possession. The reporter then took out his phone and zoomed in on a photo of Lu Ziffin and He Ruoxue for He Lanjin to see. Point 2. What compromising position? I think you guys are mistaken. Lu Ziffin has a good character. He's definitely not the kind of person you say he is, He Lanjin drawled as she shook her head. Point 2. He Lanjin then shook her finger and pointed at the crowd following her. You bunch of gossipy reporters. She smiled drunkenly. Don't be afraid. The world is not falling apart. Even if my fiancé is a piece of trash, my sister He Ruoxue will not betray me. 2. The reporters were worried, seeing that He Lanjin did not believe them. Someone came forward with her phone to show photos that had been taken in the toilet while telling He Lanjin about what happened. Although the fully clothed Lu Ziffin seemed innocent in the photos, the fact that he was in the ladies' restroom with He Ruoxue and the unknown man has raised a lot of suspicions. Point 2. But entertainment reporters would always be after shock value. The truth did not matter as much as the news situations like this generated. If they could hype something up to be true, then they would. What could be juicier and more newsworthy than He Lanjin's reaction to this betrayal? 2. Miss He, these photos are enough proof of their deception. What are you going to do about this, 2? He Lanjin decided it was time to act sober and fully awake. She looked at photos on the phone that was handed to her. He Ruoxue was cowering on the floor, naked and in a sorry state. In another photo, a half-naked man was hugging He Ruoxue, who did not have anything on. He Lanjin's delicate little face turned as white as paper. Her body trembled as she shook her head and weakly said, No, this is impossible. I don't believe it. You guys are lying to me. 2. He Lanjin rushed out of the nightclub, followed by the group of reporters. Outside, officers were leading Lu Zifan, Hiroa Shue, and the unnamed man to the patrol cars that would bring them to the police station point 2. The atmosphere suddenly went cold when Helanjin locked eyes with Hiroa Shue and Lu Zifan point 2. Helanjin walked toward them, her eyes red with fury. Lu Zifan and Hiroa Shue met her gaze with suspicion in their eyes. Even from afar, they could smell the alcohol on Helanjin. Hiroa Shue, eyes red from crying, called out to her in distress. "Sister, someone wants to harm me." Lu Zifan watched Helanjin closely. He was not worried about Lanjin learning about his relationship with Hiroa Shue. He was only concerned about finding out who was plotting against him tonight. Besides his business enemies, the only person he could think of was Helanjin point 2. "Miss He, you seem to have drunk too much. Be careful, please, too." Helanjin ignored the waiter and walked toward the police car. Staggering, she almost fell in front of Hiroa Shue. Helanjin reached out to steady herself and, in the process, accidentally lifted up the loose fabric that covered Hiroa Shue's nakedness, revealing mottled bite marks throughout Hiroa Shue's body. Helanjin gave Hiroa Shue a questioning look, then turned to look at Lu Zifan, whose neck was smeared with lipstick marks point 2. "Sister, let me explain." Seeing Helanjin's expression, Hiroa Shue grew nervous, afraid that Lanjin would misunderstand point 2. But Helanjin did not give Hiroa Shue a chance to explain the so-called truth at all. She pushed Hiroa Shue away, her face a mixture of sorrow and disappointment point 2. Helanjin turned to Lu Zifan with hatred and disgust. "Lu Zifan, how could you let me down?" 2. Without waiting for Lu Zifan's explanation, Helanjin quickly pounced on him and slapped him across the face. She was so fast and fierce that Lu Zifan was stunned point 2. "Helanjin, have you gone crazy?" Lu Zifan tasted blood from the corner of his mouth. How dare she hit him, too? Helanjin secretly smiled upon hearing the anger in Lu Zifan's voice, but she pretended not to hear him. Instead, she looked at Lu Zifan and Hiroa Shue with despair point 2. "Zifan, Hiroa Shue, are you really together? Where does that put me? Why must the two people I trust the most break my heart?" 2. Helanjin wailed as she questioned them. She seemed to have gone mad with despair, the weight of the betrayal sitting heavily on her chest. She caught everyone's attention, her cries drowning Lu Zifan's and Hiroa Shue's explanations. Helanjin's keening even attracted the attention of the other guests in the nightclub. She wept openly, sobbing as if her heart would explode. Everyone who heard her looked disdainfully at Lu Zifan and Hiroa Shue point 2. Helanjin deliberately did not give anyone time to react. With despair in her face, she suddenly stood up and looked at Lu Zifan before addressing Hiroa Shue. "If you truly love him, I, your sister, will fulfill your wish, too." Helanjin covered her mouth to suppress her sobs and ran away from the crowd who pitted her as an abandoned woman in the depths of despair point 2. Reporters who followed Helanjin saw her fall several times before she got to her car and sped off. Riding the hype, the entertainment reporters present at the scene disclosed that the young master of the Lu family had gone too far, potentially driving the young miss from the He family to commit suicide point 2. Lu Zifan was in a daze, unable to believe what had just happened. The police forced him into the patrol car as everyone looked at him with disdain point 2. The news spread like wildfire. The story of Helanjin, who had lost all hope after her fiancé and her younger sister betrayed her, quickly became a trending topic point 2. Helanjin sped away from the nightclub to avoid the paparazzi. While she replayed the events in her mind, her phone rang point 2. Helanjin put the phone to her ear. "Hello, Mom," said a voice, which then grew silent. "F***CK. When did I become a mother?" Helanjin replied. Before she could recover from the shock, the other party hung up point 2. The strange male voice woke her up from her thoughts. Helanjin was about to call the number back when she realized that the phone screen had turned black. But what was this? This wasn't her phone. Whose was this, then? And where was her phone? 2. What was she going to do? The only proof she had was in her phone. She was planning to show the video to her parents to show them Lu Zifan's and Hiroa Shue's true colors point 2. But without the video, How could Elan Jean prove her claim that Lu Ziffin had been scheming against the He family for a long time? The video was her only card against the Lu family. Point 2. Elan Jean must return to the nightclub. Her phone must have fallen somewhere. Didn't she bump into someone on her way out of the surveillance room? She must have picked up the wrong phone, too. But the nightclub was heavily guarded. The police and some reporters might even still be there. It would be impossible to go back now. She tracked the location of her phone with her iPad and was surprised to learn that it was not in the nightclub. Why will my phone be in the suburbs? Elan Jean wondered out loud. Point 2. She could not figure out how her phone would end in the suburbs, but she had no other choice. Using her GPS, Elan Jean sped to the location. Point 2. She raised her head and looked around the dark and remote place. She could not believe that her phone was actually inside an old abandoned house. She thought of the evidence on the phone. What choice did she have, too? Taking a deep breath, Elan Jean straightened her back and strode forward without hesitation. She pushed open the heavy gate and walked in. Point 2. The cold winter wind blew, sending a flurry of leaves spinning in the messy inner courtyard of the abandoned house. The moonlight shone on Elan Jean's lone figure, casting a shadow on the ground. Point 2. She walked forward, dried leaves crackling with each step. Point 2. She had only taken a few steps when she felt someone's eyes on her. Elan Jean looked up to see the faint outline of a tall figure. "Hello, is anyone there?" Elan Jean looked around, trying to see in the dark and windy courtyard. Point 2. Elan Jean remembered her training from the military academy. Moreover, she was 23 years old, no longer a little girl. Although she was a little nervous, she still entered the desolate house. Point 2. Before she could go any further, Elan Jean saw an imposing figure. It emitted a chill, making her shiver. In the moonlight, Elan Jean saw that the figure belonged to a man with a beautifully chiseled face and deep, unfathomable eyes. Even in the dark, Elan Jean could not help but notice how elegant he was. Point 2. "Don't be impertinent," said a voice. It belonged to Han Beicheng, who suddenly appeared from nowhere. He looked at his master, then started to walk toward Elan Jean. He would not allow such insolence toward Xiao Hanya. Point 2. Before Elan Jean could react, she heard another voice. "Retreat," said the tall, elegant man, not moving a muscle. Elan Jean felt a gust of wind blow past her. It stirred the leaves at her feet, but she did not see anything. Point 2. She was stunned. Who was this man, and why did he have such a commanding presence, even in the dark? 2. "What is the matter, Miss He?" came Xiao Hanya's magnetic voice. Wearing an all-black ensemble, he stood with his hands behind his back. He looked at Elan Jean with detached curiosity. Point 2. Hearing the man address her correctly alarmed Elan Jean. How did this man know who she was? Was this the person she bumped into as she rushed out of the surveillance room? If so, then he must be in possession of her phone. "I'm looking for something," she replied. "My search brought me here." 2. "Oh," Xiao Hanya said as he raised his eyebrows and pursed his lips. Point 2. Xiao Hanya walked toward Elan Jean, each step echoing in the courtyard. He had such an air about him that Elan Jean could not help but step back as he moved toward her. He backed her into a wall. Dried leaves from a nearby tree fell and stuck to Elan Jean's hair. Point 2. "How do you know that what you are looking for is here?" Xiao Hanya lowered his head and caught her eye as he raised one of his hands, his slender fingers brushing against her head. Elan Jean felt herself blush when a man moved back a bit. Holding the leaf, he plucked from her hair. Point 2. "Won't you just let me look for it?" Elan Jean asked as she held her breath and tried to grab the leaf from his fingers. Xiao Hanya moved his hand away and moved another step toward Elan Jean. Point 2. He was standing very close to her now, so close that she could smell him, his scent enveloping her. Elan Jean felt her heart beating fast, confusing her. She had had many suitors, including Lu Ziffin, whom she was to marry, but this was the first time she felt like this in the presence of a man. Point 2. Without thinking, Elan Jean pushed Xiao Hanya away. She felt an electric current down her spine when her hand landed on his firm chest. She pulled her hand away, unsure of what to do next. Point 2. "Very well, Miss He," Xiao Hanya said as he turned around and led the way to the house. "Please, he said as he gentlemanly held the door and motioned for her to enter point 2. Helanjin hesitated for a moment, taken aback by the man's graciousness. She quickly got over the shock and entered the house. She searched carefully for her phone, but found nothing. She was sure her phone was here somewhere point 2. Failing to find her phone, Helanjin looked suspiciously at Xiao Hanya point 2. Could he have picked her phone by mistake? If he did, why was he asking her to look for it instead of just returning the phone to her? What exactly was his purpose? Helanjin was puzzled point 2. What is it, Miss He? Are you going to search me too? Xiao Hanya asked in a low voice as he watched Helanjin come closer point 2. Helanjin took a deep breath. She was normally courteous, as befits a woman of her stature, but she really needed the videos and photos on her phone. She had no choice but to be rude to the person in front of her point 2. Since you took the initiative to remind me, I'm sorry, Helanjin said through gritted teeth. She tracked her phone here. Her GPS could not be wrong. This man was the only person around. He must have the phone point 2. With this in mind, Helanjin frisked Xiao Hanya's upper body, patting down his coat pockets. She quickly moved down to his pants, surprising him point 2. Helanjin felt something in Xiao Hanya's pants pocket. It was a little hard. She looked up at him and put her hand in his pocket to retrieve the item. Hiding in the dark, Han Beiqing held his breath as he craned his neck to get a better view of his master. He could not figure out why Xiao Hanya, who had been resolute all 28 years of his life, was allowing this transgression. Xiao Hanya had never been close to a woman. How could he let this woman search him like this, too? His master was an excellent martial artist. This woman would die in Xiao Hanya's hands even before she could make a move. But he just stood there, allowing her to touch him several times. Han Beicheng was shocked to the core point 2. Helanjin gloomily looked at the lighter in her hand, feeling duped point 2. Xiao Hanya looked at the lighter in Helanjin's fingers before locking eyes with her. Helanjin felt her ears getting hot, but she could not look away. What was happening to her, too? Xiao Hanya reached into the breast pocket of his coat and take out his phone in one swift motion. He pressed on the screen, as if to dial a number point 2. What are you going to do? Helanjin asked cautiously, suddenly feeling embarrassed by the way she was behaving toward him point 2. Xiao Hanya's silent black eyes shifted from the phone to Helanjin's exquisite face. He remembered how arrogant but cute she was in the nightclub. He wanted to tease her for reasons even he could not explain. So he said, call the police, too. Call the police? Helanjin was stunned point 2. Xiao Hanya took his eyes off the phone and stared into Helanjin's eyes. In a deep voice, he growled, You broke into this private residence and touched me. I suspect that you want to rape me too. F*CK. Helanjin was furious. Rape? Too. Han Beicheng craned further from where he was hiding, wishing to hear everything. He lost his balance and fell to the floor with a thumb point 2. I'll return the lighter. Helanjin threw the lighter to the floor. She felt like running away. Besides, she was not sure that the phone was on a point 2. Plus, she did not really know this person, and the He family was in deep trouble. The crisis had not been resolved yet, so she could not casually offend anyone. She had to restrain her temper. Otherwise, she would have already dealt with him. That would teach him not to act arrogantly toward her point 2. Call the police and report her as a pervert. T point 2. Sir, I was presumptuous just now. I apologize for offending you. Since you don't have what I want, I'll take my leave, Helanjin said seriously. She turned around and left without looking back point 2. She returned to her car, wondering if she had been possessed. She took out the iPad and saw that the signal on her phone had disappeared. She rubbed her forehead and looked out the window, her gaze fixed on the ancient, desolate mansion point 2. This mansion was very strange. The people inside were even stranger. Helanjin lived in Jiang City all her life, but had never heard of this place. It was as if the place had been deliberately forgotten by the whole world. It no longer existed point 2. As the eldest daughter of the He family, she was supposed to have some understanding of Jiang City's circle. But she did not know such a person existed in the city. Who exactly was this man? Why was he here, too? Helanjin woke from her reverie when she heard some noise from the mansion. She looked up and saw a tall figure walking out. As the heavy wooden door closed, the tall and handsome man bent down and got into a car that had stopped at the entrance point too. What struck her, though, was that the person seemed to be holding something in his hand point too. Helan Jean was completely dumbfounded. The thing in his hand was actually her phone. He tricked her, too. Follow my phone. Helan Jean was stunned. She had very good eyesight, and immediately realized before he got into the car that it was her phone he was holding point two. The phone she was holding in her hand was very similar to her real phone. Both phones were black, but hers had a small engraving, something she learned to do when she got bored one day. The phone in that man's hand gave out a glint that she would recognize from anywhere. She was sure it was hers point two. Hey, give me back my phone. Helan Jean quickly shouted. She stepped on the accelerator to chase after him, but a figure rushed out from the darkness. She slammed on the brakes to avoid hitting the figure, and before she knew it, the car had already disappeared point two. Helan Jean hit the steering wheel with her fists in frustration. That damn man had deceived her, too. He clearly had her phone. Why didn't he just give it back? But wait, she never told him she was looking for her phone. Nan, it's me. Help me check the surveillance footage of this section of the XX road. I'm looking for a man, Helan Jean said, as soon as young Master Chin's face appeared on her iPad. It did not take her long to see that Nan was being his flirtatious self, drinking with the internet celebrities beside him point two. Realizing that it was Helan Jean calling him on video, Nan hurriedly pushed away the girls beside him and said, Looking for a man? I've been waiting years for you, Helan Jean. But you don't care for the richest and the most handsome man in Jiang City. Do you think Lu Ziffin, that country bumpkin, is better than me, too? Don't talk nonsense with me, Helan Jean said point two. Without hanging up on the video call with Helan Jean, Nin immediately made a phone call. On the other end of the video, his expression changed. He looked at Helan Jean's face on his iPad and said, The power lines on that section of the road have short-circuited tonight. There was nothing left, too. Got it, Helan Jean said as she threw the iPad on the passenger seat. Nan's loud voice came from the other end, making her head hurt more point two. What a coincidence that the lines were short-circuited. It seemed that the only thing to do was to start from this house. Helan Jean would find him eventually point two. The pitch-black road seemed to devour the earth. Xiao Hanya sat in the back seat of the limited edition luxury car, resting with his eyes closed point two. Driving the car, Han Beiqing looked at the rearview mirror and said in a low and respectful voice, Master, the information you want has been sent to your phone. You have never trifled with women before. Are you ready to too? Before Han Beiqing could finish, he saw Xiao Hanya open his eyes. Cold as ice, they stared back at Han Beiqing's eyes on the mirror. Han Beiqing quickly changed tack, saying, should we release the news that the descendants of the Qiao family have returned to Jiang City, too? No need, too. Gripping the steering wheel, Han Beiqing's hands were sweating with excitement. Xiao Hanya had just harassed a woman, and seemingly for nothing. Han Beiqing was of the belief that all 18 generations of the Qiao family would rise up from their graves just to know how the situation came to be point two. Han Beiqing recalled how the conversation between his master and the woman went. Never did he imagine that Xiao Hanya would accuse a woman of wanting to rape him. Han Beiqing was so shocked that he fell off the wall. His painful but told him that all of this was true point two. Han Beiqing glanced at Xiao Hanya's reflection in the rearview mirror and cleared his throat. Master, the young master of the Lu family, was actually caught in the women's restroom for soliciting prostitutes despite the fact that the Lu family is forging an alliance with the He family, Han Beiqing sighed. The waters in Jiang City run very deep, too. Xiao Hanya ignored Han Beiqing as his gaze fell on the financial bulletin on his iPad. He mindlessly clicked on the entertainment section. The exquisite little face on the breaking news had a look of despair, as if she had been abandoned and betrayed by the whole world. Deep in thought, Xiao Hanya lowered his eyes to look at the phone beside him point two. He thought of her sneaky figure in the nightclub and the domineering calmness of the body search just now. Just how many aspects of this woman were unknown to people? The corners of Xiao Hanya's mouth curled up slightly, as if he was looking forward to learning them all point two. Jiang City seemed to be an interesting place. Still, some people had to pay a painful price for what they had done. Point 2. Helanjin, Xiao Hanya, looked at the information Han Beiqing provided. His gaze lingered on the name, which he committed to his heart. Point 2. At this moment on the road, too, Helanjin was being toyed with. She slammed the steering wheel in anger and drove back to the city. How she loathed losing the evidence that would reveal the true colors of Hiroashio and Lu Zifan, especially because her parents would not believe her until she gave them some proof. Point 2. While mulling over her next move, Helanjin passed by the square and saw the news broadcast on the screen. Missy has been hurt by young Master Lu, a newscaster reported. Her emotions are unstable. She may have committed suicide. Please take note of this, too. Committed suicide? Helanjin's eyes lit up when she heard these words, and she suddenly thought of an idea. She must really show them how full of love and anguish she was. The road was almost empty in this cold evening. Point 2. A luxurious car drove by, with a tall figure elegantly leaning against the back seat. Before closing his eyes to rest, he caught a glimpse of a silhouette not far away. "Stop the car," he said in a deep voice. Point 2. The luxury car's tires screeched as the driver stepped on the brakes. Point 2. As he skillfully stopped the car, Han Beiqing said, "Master, all the surveillance videos in the nightclub have been destroyed, as you ordered." 2. A trivial matter had attracted the attention of the no-nonsense Xiao Hanya. Could there be an important secret involved? Otherwise, why would his master, who had the power to control the business and political world, pay so much attention to it? 2. Xiao Hanya curiously watched the half-deleted video sent by Nan Phone. His attention was fixed on a news from Jiang City, aired just 2 minutes ago. Point 2. Looking at the figure standing on the bridge in front of him, Xiao Hanya could not help but wonder what she was up to. Point 2. "Master," Han Beiqing called out in a low voice, unsure of what to do next. Point 2. Xiao Hanya looked up, his deep black eyes unfathomable. He looked at the hesitant figure far away get into a car, and the corners of his mouth curled upward into a meaningful smile. As if he knew exactly what the person was going to do, Xiao Hanya lightly tapped on the armrest with his fingertips and said in a deep voice, "Ram that car over." 2. Han Beiqing was stunned. He turned to his master insolently and then looked at the sedan a few meters away. The owner of the car seemed a little impatient. Wait a minute. Why was this figure so familiar? Had he not seen this person before? "Ram it over," Xiao Hanya repeated in a deep voice. He stared at Han Beiqing so icily that the latter trembled and clamped his legs together. Point 2. Han Beiqing gripped the steering wheel tightly and stepped on the gas. The luxury car crashed into the sedan, but it cleverly avoided the driver's seat. A large part of the sedan, which emitted thick smoke, was dented. Although the driver fainted, there seemed to be no cause for alarm. It was, after all, a car accident instigated by an expert driver. Point 2. "Send the driver to the hospital," Xiao Hanya said after getting out of the car to check the other driver for injuries. Han Beiqing looked at the familiar face, unable to keep up with his master's thoughts. Point 2. The master was interested in this person, yet he asked me to deliberately run her over. Are they trying to kill each other? While Han Beiqing was figuring out the mess, he heard his master's order. "Tell Nan Phone that the driver has a severe concussion and needs to be sent to the hospital." 2. Without missing a beat, Han Beiqing made the call. Point 2. The news report stated that Helanjin was bullied by Lu Zifan and was greatly humiliated in public. Due to this, she was very likely to commit suicide. Helanjin wanted to take advantage of these reports and expose Lu Zifan for the crook that he was. So she looked for a place where she could safely crash her car. Point 2. After hesitating a few times, Helanjin finally resolved to crash the car into the railing by the bridge. But as she was about to reach the railing, another car rammed into hers. The most interesting thing was that the other driver seemed to know exactly what she wanted to happen. Point 2. Following the incident, Helanjin was brought to the hospital against her wishes. She was even weirdly diagnosed with a severe concussion and traumatic internal hemorrhage. Point 2. She looked at her entire body, which was covered in bandages. "You have very serious injuries, miss," warned the doctor. "You should not move around recklessly." 2. Hearing the doctor's words, Jean didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Point 2. Doctor, do I look like I'm going to die? Jean looked at her bandaged arms. Have all modern doctors gone blind, too? Jean could not understand. She was clearly alive and kicking. The doctor said that her injuries were serious, but she did not feel injured at all. He even wrote down a medical record for her and forcefully bandaged her inside and out, as if afraid that no one would know that she was injured, too. Jean raised her bandaged hand to touch her forehead, which was also wrapped in thick gauze. The dressing on her upper body felt heavy and caused her fatigue. Point 2. The news has been aired. You committed suicide because you were cheated on. There are plenty of men who are good with big tools. Why do you want to commit suicide because of short mushroom? No, you don't look like a person who's about to die, huffed the doctor, who was wearing a mask. You're so stupid. The doctor rolled his eyes at Jean as he snapped shut the folder containing her records. He then turned around and left the hospital room, closing the door behind him. Point 2. Jean's mouth twitched when she heard the doctor reprimanding her with a dirty joke. This was really a misunderstanding, too. How was she to know whether Lou Ziffin's mushroom was long or short? They were bound to be married, yes, but she never let him touch even her hand. She had no interest in the man at all, and only agreed to the marriage to please her parents. Point 2. She lay heavily on the VIP bed. The entertainment news on TV caught her eye. On the screen was a photo of the half-naked Hiroshima and Lou Ziffin in a passionate embrace, and a video of Lou Ziffin telling reporters that he had nothing to do with the matter. Jean was so angry that she laughed out loud. The action made her stomach cramp. Point 2. The situation was so messed up it hurt Jean's head. Lou Ziffin was gay, but he was also sleeping with Hiroshima. Now, in order to cover up Lou Ziffin's lie and deny that they had a threesome, Lou Ziffin's male lover had to pretend to be in love with Hiroshima. This relationship was really complicated, too. Despite the scandalous expose, things seemed to have settled overnight. Point 2. Now, the only way to reveal the truth was by getting her phone back. Jean felt excited just thinking about it. Point 2. If only Hiroshima found out that the man she loved was actually gay before meeting him in the toilet, Jean probably would not have to deal with the problem this way, lying on a hospital bed while nursing her injuries, too. Miss He, a reporter outside the VIP room called out. Point 2. I already told you said that Missy is still unconscious. Don't disturb the patient, said an irritated voice that probably belonged to a nurse. If you have even the slightest decency and sympathy for our patient, please go and interview those who did her wrong. There is no point in disturbing the young miss, too. Hearing this, Jean immediately realized her situation. She was playing the role of the weak, innocent, and magnanimous miss who remained reasonable even after getting hurt. Therefore, to gain the public sympathy, she had to say nothing. She immediately closed her eyes and pretended to be asleep. Point 2. Last night, a car rammed into hers, but she was not really hurt. It seemed flawless and perfectly planned. Who could be behind it? Was it a coincidence? Or was the person really helping her, too? The events of last night left a bitter taste in her mouth. However, a whole night of torment proved too much, even for her. Jean succumbed to exhaustion and fell asleep shortly. Point 2. News about the He and Lou families spread overnight, trending on Dubon and Weibo. Although both families tried their best to keep the scandal under wraps, it still spread throughout the streets and alleys of Jiang City, making a popular topic for gossip. Point 2. Lying on the hospital bed, Jean had a beautiful dream. Her left hand was torturing the scumbag, while her right hand was choking the little white flower to death. There was a big wolf dog beside her. It opened its mouth and pounced on Hiroshima's buttocks. Seeing the pained look on her best friend's face, Jean got so excited that she fell off the bed. Point 2. Because Jean's body was wrapped in gauze, it took her a long time to get up from the floor. Point 2. Alone in the quiet hospital room, Jean decided to return home. Oddly, she found her medical records on the desk beside her bed, as if whoever prepared it knew that she was going to sneak out of the hospital. Back at the He residence, just as Jean was about to open the door, she heard Hiroshima sobbing. Jean's hand on the doorknob grew stiff. Point 2. She did not expect Hiroashua to be released on bail so quickly. This meant that Hiroashua held a special place in her parents' affections. Point 2. Heelanjin's heart sank at the thought. Point 2. Dad, Mom, I really did not do anything to let my sister down. The news was all nonsense, and the photos were edited. The police even accused me of taking drugs, explained Hiroashua, but they did not find anything on me. Last night, my sister was very happy and poured me many shots of alcohol. I did drink, but I swear that I really did not do anything to let her down. 2. My sister drank too much and stayed out overnight. The last I saw her was in the nightclub, where crooks and honest people could be found. What if she believed the ugly rumors, found a man, and did something stupid? Hiroashua cried until she seemed to be heartbroken. Point 2. Heelanjin's disappearance could stack the odds in Hiroashua's favor. By making a big deal out of it, Hiroashua could shift the public's attention to Heelanjin and what happened to her after she drove away last night. Hiroashua had to make their parents believe what she was saying. Otherwise, things would be troublesome. Point 2. Last night, at the police station, Hiroashua and Liu Zifan discussed countermeasures. Hiroashua must not lose the He family's trust. Should the scandal blow up, she could still turn the tables and crush Heelanjin, perhaps even replace her. Point 2. Heelanjin stood by the door listening. She could not help but raise her eyebrows and sneer when she heard Hiroashua. The girl was showing her true colors, catching Heelanjin off guard. Point 2. Heelanjin pinched her arm hard and entered the house, limping. Mom, Dad too. Hearing Heelanjin's voice, Tangjeline and He Wenqing turned to the door. Something really big happened. Where were you the entire night? He Wenqing asked immediately, completely ignoring the fact that Heelanjin was injured. 2. Last night, at the hospital, Heelanjin saw reports featuring her accident. She did not expect her parents to be so focused on Hiroashua that they totally missed the news that Heelanjin was badly injured. Point 2. I almost died in a car accident last night. Heelanjin burst into sobs as the medical record she was holding fell to the floor. Point 2. Liu Zifan, he was with Hiroashua. Mom, didn't you see the news? They betrayed me. 2. Jean, Tangjeline said in a worried voice as she walked toward Heelanjin. The old woman saw the blood oozing out from Heelanjin's serious injury. Tangjeline's heart ached as she hugged Heelanjin and asked, Why do you have so many injuries? 2. He Wenqing picked the medical record up from the floor. Ever the businessman, he got angry, so angry reading about Heelanjin's injuries that he wanted to slap her. After all, he could not make a profit out of an injured girl. He asked angrily, After what happened, you still dare to drink alcohol and harm yourself? 2. He then turned to Hiroashua and asked, And you, what exactly are your intentions? Didn't you say that Heelanjin misunderstood you and Liu Zifan last night and ran away to fool around with another man in revenge? Look at her. Does she look like someone who would do that? He Wenqing said as he threw the medical record on Hiroashua. Point 2. Hiroashua was scolded so badly that she stopped crying. Earlier, she was able to sell her story and win the old folks' sympathy with her tears. But Heelanjin unexpectedly came home with injuries, ruining Hiroashua's plan. Hiroashua felt indignant and looked at Heelanjin hatefully. Point 2. Why was Heelanjin the little princess and she, Rakshu, was living under someone else's roof? Why did she have to bear with these people's drama? And despite everything, why was Heelanjin still more important to these old folks? 2. Jean, I thought you had gone to do something stupid. I was worried the entire night. You misunderstood me and Brother Zifan. There was really nothing between us. Hiroashua looked at Heelanjin with a pitiful expression and suddenly burst into tears. Point 2. Liar. I saw the photos last night. I was going to fulfill your wish and let you marry Liu Zifan instead, but here you are, telling my parents that I was fooling around with a man. Hiroashua, you are really my good sister, Heelanjin said in disbelief. Point 2. You were my best friend and my sister. Didn't you think of that when you and Liu Zifan were messing around in the nightclub toilet? What would the people of Jiang City think of the He family now? Heelanjin asked as stepped forward to slap Hiroashua. Point 2. Heelanjin grabbed Hiroashua's neck. Hiroashua's eyes rolled back as she struggled. Point 2. Sister, You misunderstood. I was with my boyfriend last night, not Brother Ziffin. Hiroashua explained, seeing that He Longin's expression was not right. Point two. Tang Jilin and He Wenqing stepped forward to pull the sisters apart. Point two. But no matter how they tried, they could not pry Hiroashua from He Longin's grip. Having graduated from a military academy, He Longjin knew how to control her strength and use it to her advantage. Hiroashua felt helpless, unable to free herself. Point two. Xiaoxua. Out of nowhere, a figure rushed in and pushed He Longjin away from Hiroashua. Point two. Thinking on her feet, He Longjin took advantage of the situation and feigned weakness by falling on the sofa. Blood seeped through the gauze on her arms, dyeing her clothes red. Point two. Ajin, how are you? Tang Jilin asked as she let go of the hand that was holding Hiroashua. The worried old woman quickly helped He Longjin to her feet. Point two. He Wenqing frowned in disgust when he recognized who pushed He Longjin. He was so angry that he kicked the intruder. Get out. This is the He family's territory. You are not welcome here. 2. Zhao Yui, why did you come just now? Sister wants to kill me. She wants to kill me. Hiroashua sobbed pitifully as she hid in Zhao Yui's arms, her hair a mess. Point two. Zhao Yui appeared just in the nick of time to help Hiroashua. The plan she made with Lu Ziffin at the police station was working. Point two. Zhao Yui would pretend to be Hiroashua's boyfriend to help Lu Ziffin clear his name. This would allow Lu Ziffin to settle the relationship between the Lu and He families and proceed with the engagement. After taking down the He family as planned, Lu Ziffin would send Zhao Yui away with a big sum of money. Point two. But what was this? Hiroashua knew that He Longjin had always looked down on Lu Ziffin, saying that he had no substance. Since last night, Hiroashua had been thinking that He Longjin was orchestrated the scandal. But Hiroashua was not so sure now, after seeing He Longjin so sad and miserable to the point of madness. Point two. Miss He, you have misunderstood Xiaoxua, said Zhao Yui as he let go of Hiroashua and stepped forward. He knelt in front of the He elders to ask for forgiveness and to explain what happened in the nightclub. It was I who was with Xiaoxua, not young Master Lu. It's all my fault for being drunk. Please, allow me to take all the blame. Don't make things difficult for Hiroashua, too. He Longjin could not help but be shocked. How could this man be so magnanimous? How could he come here to rescue and protect Hiroashua? Had he forgotten that Hiroashua and his man had sex in front of him? 2. Just how good was Lu Ziffin in bed that both men and women were covering up for him? 2. Despite Hiroashua's betrayal, He Longjin suddenly felt bad for her sister. She wondered what Hiroashua would do after finding out that Lu Ziffin and Zhao Yui were really lovers. Point 2. P.S. Peony new article, August 24th, 2018. There will be a lucky draw, so the article will be released one day in advance. QQ Reader and HandQ can draw. The prizes are an LCD TV, a QQ Reading mobile phone, Dior lipstick, Snack Big gift pack, custom cup, custom pillow. Vote recommendation tickets. Leave a message. Tomorrow can draw the lucky draw. Before He Longjin could recover, someone rushed into the house. Point 2. Ajin. Lu Ziffin came in, looking a little worn out. His voice was full of concern for He Longjin, but his gaze was fixed on someone else. Point 2. Zhao Yui held Hiroashua in his arms. His arms were crossed over her chest, squeezing her plump breasts and making them look even rounder. Point 2. Lu Ziffin narrowed his eyes and looked coldly at Zhao Yui. At the police station, Lu Ziffin secretly asked for Zhao Yui's help. If Zhao Yui would help Lu Ziffin get through this difficult time, then Lu Ziffin would come out of the closet. Their relationship would not be a secret anymore. Point 2. Lu Ziffin felt a pang of jealousy. He did not expect Zhao Yui to be this intimate with Hiroashua. Point 2. Young Master Lu, you came at just the right time. Ajin had a car accident last night and was seriously injured, Tang Jilin said as she fussed over the injured He Longjin. Point 2. Lu Ziffin was stunned. He looked at the fully bandaged He Longjin. He was a little surprised. As far as he could remember, her Longjin hated him. She always stood him up on dates and did not treat him well. Why would she seek death for him? 2. Had she fallen in love with him? 2. Ajin, why are you so stupid? I'm your fiancé. In this life, I don't want anyone else but you. Lu Zifan put down his coat and quickly stepped forward to support He Lanjin. Point 2. He Lanjin lowered her eyes, and a cold smile appeared on her delicate face. She looked at Lu Zifan holding her arm and frowned. Pretending to be in pain, she shouted, "Ouch, it hurts. It hurts, too. Young Master Lu, be careful," Tang Jilin warned. Point 2. Lu Zifan's fingers got stained with blood as he steadied He Lanjin, but he paid no heed. He felt confident now that he had won He Lanjin's affections. She could not escape his powerful charm. She had really fallen in love with him, too. "Auntie, I'll bring Ajin upstairs," Lu Zifan said as he helped her to the stairs. He Lanjin took 2 steps forward and bit her pink lips. Tears welled up in her almond-shaped eyes as she limped. Suddenly, she tripped and leaned on Lu Zifan. Point 2. Because Lu Zifan was engrossed in his thoughts, he hit the staircase pillar as He Lanjin fell to the floor in the opposite direction. Point 2. "Ack!" cried He Lanjin as she fell. Lu Zifan quickly came to her aid. However, He Lanjin's badly injured leg suddenly twitched and hit Lu Zifan in the groin. Point 2. Lu Zifan was struck by crippling waves of pain. He screamed as he doubled over and cupped his groin. Point 2. "Young Master Lu," Hiroashua cried in alarm as she rushed to Lu Zifan's side. Zhao Yui was even more anxious. Pushing Hiroashua away, Zhao Yui bent down and unhooked Lu Zifan's pants chain. "Let me see, too." The atmosphere grew tense as everyone stared at Zhao Yui's hand, too. Bewildered, Tang Jilin blurted out, "Do you know each other, too?" "Me?" Zhao Yui asked in a confused state. He was just concerned for his man. What if Lu Zifan had been crippled by He Lanjin's kick? What would happen to his future sexual happiness, too? No other man could make Lu Zifan feel better, right, too? Seeing how shocked everyone was, Lu Zifan pushed Zhao Yui away. "What are you doing?" Lu Zifan shouted as waves of pain washed over him. Point 2. He Wenqing stepped forward and kicked Zhao Yui, who was just starting to get up. "What do you want?" He Wenqing asked, his voice full of scorn. "You defiled Roashue in the toilet last night, and now you want to humiliate young Master Lu, too." Zhao Yui was embarrassed. He wanted to defend himself, but he did not want to ruin Lu Zifan. Zhao Yui forced a smile and said, "I used to be a male doctor. I bent down to examine young Master Lu out of plain instinct. You should be fine, too. Mr. He, you can hit me or scold me however you like. I take the blame for everything, and I want to reduce the impact of my actions on the He family. I also wish to prove how serious I am about Hiroashua," Zhao Yui said respectfully. Point 2. Zhao Yui's fair face and thin red lips made him look gentle and obedient. Point 2. "Trash," He Wenqing yelled. This annoying little punk did not deserve to be treated kindly. Point 2. Hiroashua was not the slightest bit interested in what Zhao Yui was saying. Her eyes were fixed on Lu Zifan. Hiroashua stood and watched as Lu Zifan doubled over in pain. He wanted to hug He Lanjin, but he was rejected. Point 2. Hiroashua felt uneasy. Since Lu Zifan entered the room, he never so much looked her in the eye. He was so devoted to He Lanjin that Hiroashua felt uncomfortable. What if Lu Zifan got deluded about his feelings for He Lanjin? That would be terrible, too. After all, men think with their D*CKs. Hiroashua was sure about how much Lu Zifan cared for her only when they were together in bed. Point 2. "Don't. I'll go up myself," He Lanjin said through gritted her teeth. She forcefully held onto the railing and slowly walked up the stairs. She seemed to almost fall with every exhausting step. Point 2. Lu Zifan followed closely behind, worried. "If you cannot go on your own, don't try to be brave, too. I'm not a cripple. I can walk on my own," He Lanjin said in a low voice. As she turned her back on everyone, her mouth twitched into an amused smile. Point 2. Her heart felt happy to see how these people were suffering. Point 2. She didn't expect Lu Zifan to involve Zhao Yui. Now she had more ways to make them suffer, even if she was not yet able to recover the evidence against them. Point 2. "You don't have to fuss about me. I think you should go and talk to my father," He Lanjin said softly. She deliberately sent him away. She was afraid that if she accidentally laughed out loud later, she would expose herself. Point 2. As you wish. Lu Zifan couldn't help but feel even more confident. All of a sudden, Jin seemed to be in a hurry to marry him. He couldn't be prouder of himself, thinking that all his problems were solved. Point 2. Lu Zifan was a bit puzzled about the sudden change in Jin, but he could not find any problem with her. He could only turn around and go downstairs to discuss matters with Wenqing. Point 2. He mansion, second floor. Point 2. Jin stood by the railing and looked down at Wenqing, who was still berating Zhao Yui. When she saw the distress on Lu Zifan's face, Jin could not help but laugh. Point 2. Jin returned to her room and checked her iPad for information about the deserted mansion, but not even the omnipotent Baidu could yield results for her search. Point 2. 2 hours later, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" Jin asked cautiously, stuffing the iPad under her pillow. Point 2. Outside the door came the voice of Wenqing's secretary. "Miss President, he has encountered some problems with some matters that he is dealing with. He would like to invite you over, too." "I'm injured," Jin reasoned. "It's inconvenient for me to go out." She refused, not wanting to leave her room. Point 2. The secretary said patiently, "President, he knows that you were injured quite badly, so he sent me to pick you up. He said that the engagement has been put on hold because of the situation last night. He is asking Miss to join him. It won't take too much of your time." Jin got up, feeling extremely puzzled. She really did not want to go, but she knew that the secretary would not leave unless she went with him. Point 2. "Okay," Jin said softly. She checked her face in the mirror and made sure her bandages were intact. She then put on a large coat and limped out of her room. Point 2. Lan followed the secretary out of the house and into the car, where she closed her eyes to rest until they reached a luxurious hotel. Point 2. The secretary led Jin to the VIP room of the hotel. Opening the door, the secretary said, "Miss please, too." "Okay," Jin replied. She walked into the large room to see her father, Wenqing, and a fat man. Point 2. Wenqing looked up and waved at Jin. "Jin, come here, too." "Dad, what are you doing?" Jin stayed where she was, unsure of approaching. Her gaze swept past the fat man, who looked like he was dripping with oil. He stared at her with lecherous eyes, and she recognized him immediately. Point 2. He was the infamous Jiang City pervert. He liked young women and was once reported for child molestation. Point 2. "What are you still standing there for? Come here and sit next to CEO Huang." Wenqing said, "Jin, I have reached an agreement with CEO Huang. Lu Zifan has postponed the engagement and doesn't want to marry you, so you should instead be engaged to CEO Huang." Wenqing propped his hands on the table and stood up, his face as red as a pig's liver. He had obviously drunk too much. Point 2. Jin was stunned. She knew that her father liked to drink and gamble, but she never imagined Wenqing would sell her to this disgusting man in marriage. Point 2. In response, Jin laughed coldly and turned around to leave. Point 2. Jin, however, felt something wrong. She suddenly felt weak, unable to move. Point 2. P.S. Recommend author, old article. Chief, you spoil me to the heavens. The article about the military marriage topic, welcome to the pit. Wenqing saw the strange look on Jin's face, and he felt even more daring. It was true that he drank too much and liked to hit people. But ever since Jin went to military school, he did not dare hit her again. But it was a different story now that she was drugged and weak. Point 2. Director Huang, this is your chance. Wenqing prodded. This girl got her training from the military academy, but right now she is seriously injured and drugged. She cannot resist you, no matter how strong she is. It is a done deal. She will not be able to escape. 2. Jin was extremely angry. She never dreamed that Wenqing would actually sell her one day. Point 2. Dad, I'm your daughter, Jin said coldly. She felt really weak and started to break out in a cold sweat, but she tried to stay calm. She started stepping backward, keeping her distance from the men. Point 2. Wenqing waved his hand impatiently. It's because you're my daughter that such a good marriage fell on your head. Wenqing boasted. Look at CEO Huang. He's talented and rich, and he doesn't have any children. He said that if you do what he wants, all his assets will be yours. With CEO Huang's help, the He Group won't need the Liu family to get through this difficult time. 2. Since you like him so much, I wish you two would grow old together. Helan Jean could not take it anymore. She had to leave. 2. He Wenqing flew into a rage and said, I am not forcing you to kill or start fire. Now, as long as you lie down, spread your legs, and serve CEO Huang, you will enjoy endless riches. Do you still want to wait for trash like Liu Zifan? By then the He Group would have long closed down. 2. You have personality. I like it. CEO Huang walked toward Helan Jean, his belly puffed out. When he reached her, he closed his eyes and sniffed. Fragrant, smells so good. He turned to He Wenqing and said, Old He, you are right. She's still a small virgin. Her smell is that of a virgin. 2. Helan Jean was extremely furious. A good man would not take advantage of her family situation. It was best to leave. 2. She turned around and pulled on the door, realizing that it could only be opened from the outside. Helan Jean became anxious. She knew that He Wenqing was capable of doing unspeakable things when drunk. 2. Baby, come and let Brother Huang hug you. CEO Huang grinned. The stench of his breath was thick, and his golden teeth looked menacing. 2. CEO Huang walked closer, intending to bury his head in Helan Jean's chest. Helan Jean took half a step back and kicked the pervert on the side of the head, causing him to fall to the floor. She was drugged, but adrenaline surged through her body, allowing her to use her strength. CEO Huang hugged Helan Jean's leg, wishing to pull her to the floor and kiss her. 2. Thinking quickly, Helan Jean kicked the old pervert in the crotch. 2. Act! CEO Huang yelped as he doubled over in pain. My ancestral treasure. Helan Jean applied more pressure to the director's groin with the heel of her shoe, causing even more pain. 2. Afraid that something bad would happen to CEO Huang, He Wenqing rushed up to Helan Jean with a chair. Without thinking, he smashed the chair on Helan Jean's back. 2. Helan Jean hissed as she felt a sharp pain on her back. She fell to the floor and heard He Wenqing say, Director Huang, hurry up and take her too. Smarting from the attack, Helan Jean remembered the He Wenqing of her childhood, often drunk and addicted to gambling. This was why He Wenqing was disowned by the old master, his father. This was also why Helan Jean, when she came of age, insisted on going to a military academy. From then on, he did not dare gamble and get drunk again. Helan Jean did not expect that many years later, her father would go back to his old ways and even think of selling her. 2. He Wenqing, I have tolerated you for a long time, Helan Jean said in a low voice as she forced herself to get up. She grabbed a bottle from the wine rack by the wall and charged at her father, fiercely smashing the bottle on his head. 2. The wine bottle shattered on He Wenqing's head. As he fell, the door opened. A food server came in with a serving cart full of exquisite dishes. Helan Jean saw her opportunity and dashed out of the VIP room as Director Huang gave out an order. Catch her, too. A group of bodyguards chased after Helan Jean. Though drugged, she outran them and got out of the hotel in no time. 2. Her long legs brought the tall Helan Jean outside the hotel, where it had begun to rain. A luxury car drove past and splashed water all over her body. The bodyguards had caught up to her, too. Guess whose car it is? Will the heroine get in the car, too? Helan Jean watched as the thugs rushed toward her. She steadied herself and raised her long legs in a multiple flying kick that sent the men reeling. 2. The luxury car that brushed past Helan Jean suddenly turned back, knocking 3 men down just as they were getting up. The car rotated 180 degrees and crushed the lead bodyguard who was very close to grabbing Helan Jean. 2. The car door opened. Helan Jean kicked 2 other bodyguards and jumped into the car. 2. As she jumped, she crashed into the left side of the car, too. Before she could recover, she felt a hand on her chin. A man's handsomely chiseled face appeared before her. In the hazy light, the man seemed even more mysterious. 2. It's you, Helan Jean blurted out. 2. You were so eloquent, so poised yesterday. Why are you in such a sorry state today? Xiao Hanya asked in a deep voice. 2. Helan Jean felt her cheeks flush. She did not dare look directly at his legs. She turned away and said, I just feel like it. Am I not allowed to do what I want to? Xiao Hanya looked at Helan Jean intently. She was drenched, causing her clothes to stick to her body and making her exquisite figure faintly discernible. Xiao Hanya said thoughtfully, Oh, so that's how it is, too. Helan Jean followed Xiao Hanya's gaze and was aghast to find that he was looking at her chest, watching it rise and fall. You too. She quickly wrapped her arms around her chest. At the same time, the man took off his coat and threw it at her to cover her body. Point two. Xiao Hanya's cold black eyes looked out and saw that the bodyguards have surrounded the car. Deal with it, he said to the man in the driver's seat. Point two. Yes. Han Beiqing answered respectfully. Point two. Han Beiqing was curious about who this Missy was. She was arrogant and domineering yesterday, but today she was being hunted down. It seemed that the He family story was as complicated as Xiao Hanya had said. Point two. Hotel, presidential suite. Point two. Seeing that Helan Jean was really soaked, Xiao Hanya decided to bring her to a hotel he was staying in. Point two. As they entered the hotel room, Helan Jean seemed to lose her balance. Xiao Hanya quickly reached out to grab her wrist, steadying her. His handsome face darkened slightly, and his whole body emitted a chill. Dirty tricks, he said coldly. Point two. He could see that she was obviously drugged. Point two. I'm fine, Helan Jean casually said as she gently pulled her hand away. And thank you, too. She struggled to stay upright up and looked down on the wet clothes hugging her exquisite and graceful figure. Helan Jean pulled the coat around her tight, as if she was cold. I'm going to take a shower. I'll pay you for the hotel later, too. Xiao Hanya was silent. He turned around, took a shirt from a wardrobe, and threw it at Helan Jean. She caught it and walked into the bathroom without saying a word. Point two. A few minutes later, Han Beiqing entered the hotel suite. He quickly walked to Xiao Hanya's side, ignoring the sound of running water in the bathroom. In a low voice, he reported, Master, the thugs have been taken care of. They're the men of President Huang of the Taikang Group. According to my investigation, He Wenqing has reached an agreement with President Huang. The master of the He family wants to give Miss He to President Huang in order to get the He family through the difficulty caused by last night's scandal. He Wenqing is selling his daughter for glory, too. This is the detailed information of the He family, Han Beiqing said as he handed over the folder containing the information. Point two. Xiao Hanya flipped through the file folder. As I was caught by a certain item. Son preference, he said out loud. Point two. He Wenqing is addicted to alcohol and is greedy for money. Now that the Liu family has postponed the wedding, he's desperate to find another master to take his daughter. He almost sold Missy out. Han Beiqing could not believe that Helan Jean, who seemed really strong and smart, actually had a scumbag for a father. Point two. Broadcast the information that Nan Feng found. Xiao Hanya ordered in a deep voice. He took the lighter from his pocket and set fire to He Wenqing's file. Point two. Yes. Han Beiqing nodded and left. Point two. After a shower, Helan Jean walked out of the bathroom, wiping her hair. She saw Xiao Hanya lazily leaning against the sofa with his eyes closed. The sun shone through the curtains, illuminating him. His outline was so perfectly beautiful it was suffocating. Point two. Helan Jean stopped toweling her hair and gaped at him. She accidentally pulled at the wound on her back, but she did not feel the pain. Point two. Have you seen enough? The man drawled, his bewitching voice sounding like he was intoxicated. Point two. Hey, you got into the male lead's car. What is this? Ha. Point two. Startled by Xiao Hanya's voice, Helan Jean realized that she had lost her composure. She went back to wiping her hair, but she did not look away. She chuckled softly and said, So what's this? You're handsome, but you don't let anyone see you? Two. Xiao Hanya opened his eyes to see Helan Jean wearing his white shirt, revealing her sexy long legs. The action of wiping her hair lifted the shirt a little, causing Xiao Hanya's throat to tighten. He turned away. Point two. Helan Jean, Xiao Hanya said as he stood up and walked towards her. Point two. Helan Jean watched as Xiao Hanya approached her. She instinctively took 2 steps back and was pressed against the wall. She felt his hot breath on her face. Point two. You. Helanjin's face was red. She was going to push Xiao Hanya away, but before she was able to, he stepped back. Point two. Xiao Hanya took off his coat and held Helanjin on the small of her back to draw her nearer. In a swift motion, he had tied the coat sleeves around her waist to cover her slender legs. Xiao Hanya quickly let go of her, as if afraid that touching her would burn him. Point two. Xiao Hanya felt inexplicably hot. It felt as if there was a lion inside of him, wanting to rush out of its cage. Point two. In the future, you're not allowed to dress like this in front of men, Xiao Hanya said, his voice a little hoarse. Point two. Helanjin looked down and pulled at both sides of the coat to cover her legs. She seemed to freeze, and the atmosphere became awkward. Point two. The door of the suite flew open. A group of men rushed in, led by the drunk He Wenqing. Blood seeped out of his forehead as he said to the police, "This man, he injured CEO Huang's bodyguards and even ran over two of them with his car." Two. Xiao Hanya smiled coldly at the police. His deep black eyes narrowed slightly, chilling the room. Point two. Scared by Xiao Hanya's imposing air, the leader of the police took 2 steps back. Point two. He Wenqing rushed forward and saw Helanjin standing behind Xiao Hanya. The drunk man pointed at her and said, "Are you in cahoots with him? I find you a good marriage, but you have the nerve to fool around with this man. I will beat you to death." Two. He Wenqing rushed inside to drag Helanjin out, but before he could do anything, he was sent flying out of the suite. Point two. Seeing the police chief arrive, He Wenqing got up, feeling the pain caused by Xiao Hanya's kick. He Wenqing quickly said, "This audacious madman injured a number of Jiang City men in broad daylight. Arrest him, too." The uniformed police chief walked in the suite and was stunned to see Xiao Hanya. He snapped back to his senses and said coldly to his men, "What a bunch of B** starts. We have so many pending cases in the bureau, but you waste your time fooling around." Two. "But, Chief," the police leader began to explain, but he was cut short by the chief. Point two. The chief waved his hand, saying, "Go back to the station and do your job." Two. "Sir, yes, sir," said the police leader and started walking away. The police officers looked at each other and followed him quietly. The chief's eyes flickered and his legs trembled as if he was scared stiff. He wanted to say something, but seeing Xiao Hanya's expression made him retreat silently. The chief dragged He Wenqing's away, covering the drunk man's mouth to keep him from saying anything more. Point two. He Wenqing made muffled sounds as he struggled from the chief's strong grip. When they reached a considerable distance, the chief let go of the surprised He Wenqing and ran back to close the suite door. Point two. "Who exactly are you?" Helanjin thought to herself. What just happened was too unbelievable. She looked at Xiao Hanya, wanting to see through him. As luck would have it, she couldn't fathom the man. Point two. There was nobody like him in the whole of Jiang City. Point two. "Come in," Xiao Hanya said to the door, avoiding Helanjin's gaze. Point two. The door opened to reveal the doctor who took care of Helanjin in the hospital. "Miss He, I'll check your injuries for you," the doctor respectfully said. Point two. Helanjin was puzzled, but she did not refuse. "Thank you," she said softly to the doctor. Point two. Xiao Hanya seemed to shine with a mysterious light, obscuring Helanjin's view. He was very hard to see through. Point two. The doctor who examined Helanjin found that all her wounds were superficial. After applying medicine to the wounds, the doctor said, "The wounds on your body are not deep. You inhaled some hallucinogens, but they won't do you any harm. It'll only take about 2 hours for you to recover your strength." Two. "Thank you," Helanjin said in a low voice. Point two. Xiao Hanya stood in front of the French window, his back to Helanjin and the doctor. Illuminated by the sunlight, tall figures seemed hazy and mysterious. The light was so dazzling that no one dared to look at it directly. Point two. He turned around and looked at Helanjin thoughtfully. His deep black eyes scanned the entire room and thought that it was a little inappropriate for an unrelated man and woman to be in the same room together. "Have a good rest," Xiao Hanya said to Helanjin as he prepared to leave. Point two. "You saved me today. I will repay you in the future," Helanjin said. Point two. Xiao Hanya pursed his lips and laughed in a low voice, saying, there will be a chance. 2. Master. Han Beiqing pushed the door open and came in, calling out in a low voice. Xiao Hanya took a deep look at Ilan Jin and strode away, the doctor following closely behind. Point 2. Before Xiao Hanya got to the door, Ilan Jin deliberately grabbed his arm and said, Mr. Xiao. 2. He looked at her in confusion. Point 2. Goodbye. She chuckled softly and let go of his arm. Point 2. Ilan Jin watched the man leave, standing by the door until Hugh is out of sight. She turned and locked the door behind her. Her eyes fell on a nearby table, where she saw a piece of paper with his name. Xiao Hanya, she said softly. Point 2. Her eyes lit up. This Xiao Hanya was not a simple man. How could an ordinary person make a bureau chief run away with just one look? 2. A knock came on the door. Ilan Jin answered it, surprised to see a room server. He handed her a set of neatly folded clothes, bowed, and left without saying a word. Ilan Jin closed the door and put the clothes on, knowing that the new clothes were sent by Xiao Hanya. Point 2. From the time he took her phone to the time he saved her, was it all a coincidence? 2. She sat quietly in the room for 2 hours until her body recovered. Looking outside the window, Ilan Jin saw that it was getting dark. She figured it was time and set off for home. Point 2. Yu Wenqing's head, covered with thick gauze, was bleeding. He was a little restless. Point 2. Yu Wenqing did not expect to see Ilan Jin when he raised his head. He jumped up in fright and rushed in front of her. Seeing Ilan Jin's cold eyes, Yu Wenqing felt extremely guilty. Point 2. The tall Ilan Jin loomed over him. Yu Wenqing felt his scalp go numb when she smiled at him, not saying a thing. Point 2. Yu Wenqing watched Ilan Jin walk past him. She sat on the sofa and lifted the landline handset. She gave him a knowing glance and started dialing a number. Yu Wenqing's heart thumped as he rushed forward to press the landline plunger, ending the call. Point 2. Ilan Jin, what are you trying to do? Yu Wenqing asked in frustration. Point 2. Ilan Jin looked at Yu Wenqing's trembling hands and chuckled softly. What am I trying to do? Didn't you want to sell me? I'm calling grandfather to discuss it with him. I want to know what he thinks about it, too. You, how could I have given life to a thing like you? Asked he, Wenqing in disbelief. Our family is facing a crisis since the Liu family has canceled your engagement with Liu Zifen. CEO Huang is willing to help. He even said that he would give you all his assets. You don't know what's good for you. You even put other people's lives in danger. And now you dare to complain to your grandfather. 2. The corners of Ilan Jin's mouth curled up. She felt uncomfortable looking at Yu Wenqing's face. Point 2. She was able to tolerate her father's actions in the past, but things are different now. Point 2. Not only did he value sons over daughters, he was also addicted to alcohol and gambling. Now, he was even planning to sell her, too. Ilan Jin pressed the redial button with her finger. There came a ring, followed by the voice of an old man. Hello, too. Grandpa, it's me, Ilan Jin said in a low voice. Yu Wenqing was so scared that he pounced on the phone and yanked at the cable so hard it broke. He grew so weak at the legs that he knelt in front of Ilan Jin, pleading. Jin, Dad was wrong. He drank too much and got muddled. You can't tell the old man. He will break my legs, too. Yu Wenqing felt crushed to see Ilan Jin looking down on him. Ilan Jin used to be as stupid as a pig. Why was she so scary now, too? If you don't want the old master to know, sign this, Ilan Jin said coldly. Point 2. If old master knew what happened, he would be sure to beat Yu Wenqing to death. The most important thing now was to shut Ilan Jin up, so Yu Wenqing signed the paper just as Ilan Jin asked. He did not even read what was written on that piece of paper. Point 2. After getting Yu Wenqing's signature, Ilan Jin put the paper away for safekeeping. Point 2. She had always wanted to protect this family. She was willing to marry someone she didn't like just for the alliance. But finding out what Liu Zifen was planning to do made her realize that she must take matters into her hands. She must do her best to help the He family get back on their feet. Point 2. She could not count on Yu Wenqing. He had gone crazy to the point of selling her to a notorious criminal. Point 2. What did you ask me to sign? Yu Wenqing asked Ilan Jin when he regained his composure. Point 2. Ilan Jin fanned her face with the document. You'll know in the future, she said with a sly smile. Yu Wenqing felt tricked. He got drunk, got too bold, and hit Ilan Jin. Now that he was sober, he could not dare do so. Although his daughter was a little stupid, he could not afford to offend someone who had gone to a military academy. If she beat him up, he would suffer a great loss. Point 2. Jean packed her luggage and set out to buy herself a new phone before driving to the house Nan rented for her. She drove over the address he gave her and was surprised to see a brightly lit mansion. She double-checked the address. Point 2. This is the right place, she said to herself, confused. Point 2. She wanted to rent a small apartment and purchase a new house when she had more time. She did not expect Nan would rent a mansion for her. Point 2. The luxurious mansion carried a plaque with the words Scenery Garden on it. Jean wheeled her luggage in and found the mansion empty. She then went upstairs to pick a room before taking a shower and climbing into bed. Point 2. The house is not bad, she said on a message she sent to Nan. She felt a dull pain on her back where he winching hit her with a chair. Point 2. Jean did not know whether it was the physical and mental exhaustion or something else, but she threw her phone to the floor before falling into a deep sleep. Point 2. Late at night, Scenery Garden. Point 2. The mansion was located in the best part of Jiangsheng, overlooking the city. The altitude was high and the air was crisp and fresh. Point 2. Under the dim light of the study sat the lone figure of a man. After finishing his work, the man looked up and asked, "Has the Liu family approved the recent bidding, too?" "Not yet." Han Beiqing respectfully, he said as he went forward and stood in front of the table. Point 2. Xiao Hanya lit a cigarette, flicked the ashes, and said in a low voice, "Find someone to approve it in their stead, too." Han Beiqing was shocked. Although the powerful Liu family had a high position in the city, the situation was not good. If the Liu family won the bidding again this time, they would probably suck the blood and sweat of the people of Jiangsheng dry. Point 2. "Yes, master," Han Beiqing replied. Point 2. Having served Xiao Hanya for many years now, Han Beiqing knew that his master always planned everything out. Xiao Hanya's decisions had always been well thought out. Point 2. When Han Beiqing turned around, he inadvertently felt something on the hem of Xiao Hanya's shirt. Han Beiqing said in surprise, "Master, you have a tracking device on you, too." "I know," Xiao Hanya said as he touched the hem of his shirt where the device was. The image of Jean secretly putting a tracking device on him surfaced in his mind. The corners of his mouth twitched into a tiny smile, and the coldness in his eyes dissipated a little. Point 2. Han Beiqing was lost in his thoughts. Why did his master deliberately allow someone to follow him? 2. Han Beiqing secretly wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. The only person who had contact with Xiao Hanya today other than himself, Nan Feng, and the doctor was Jean. Point 2. Could she have placed the tracking device on his master? Why would Xiao Hanya allow a woman to get this close to him? As far as Han Beiqing knew, Xiao Hanya avoided women. Unable to understand, Han Beiqing turned around and left the study. Point 2. Xiao Hanya put out his cigarette and got up to enter the bathroom connected to his study. He was planning to go back to his room and get some rest after showering. Point 2. Jean was sleeping soundly, but she suddenly woke up when she felt a presence nearing her. She opened her eyes, jumped up from the bed, raised her leg, and spun around to kick the intruder. Point 2. Xiao Hanya stood still on the spot and grabbed the leg Jean wanted to kick him with. She missed his face by a few centimeters, so she tried to hit him again, this time with her palm. With smooth, deliberate movements, Xiao Hanya let go of Jean's leg, caught her palm, and pulled her onto the sofa. Point 2. Oh! Jean fell straight into the man's lap. With the help of the moonlight seeping through the window, she saw that he was sprawled on the sofa and could not get up because she was sitting on him. Even in such an awkward situation, she could not help but notice how charming his aura was. The towel around his waist slid down. Point 2. "Why are you here?" Jean asked, stunned. She looked down at the man and suddenly felt dizzy. Point 2. Jean wanted to give the man a blow in the neck, but she noticed that his bare upper body was glistening with water. He had obviously just come out of the shower. Point 2. She wanted to get up from Xiao Hanya's lap, but she remembered the towel that had fallen to the floor. Her gaze unintentionally fell on his toned abs. Point 2. Jean felt as if her buttocks were on fire. Point 2. Then the realization hit her. She was sitting on him, and he was not wearing anything, too. Helanjin grew as stiff as a board. She could not get up. Point two. What do you think? Xiao Hanya's black eyes slightly narrowed. He looked at Helanjin's profile from her face down to her pajama bottoms sitting on his lap. He tensed up, his abdomen feeling like a ball of fire. Point two. This strange sensation made Xiao Hanya very uncomfortable. Point two. Xiao Hanya had never thought that he and Helanjin would meet again in such an awkward situation. Point two. But the most pressing matter as of the moment was the fact that he did not have anything on. Point two. He felt on fire, as if ignited by her forceful seduction. He felt trapped, with nowhere to go. Point two. I am renting this house. Why did you break into a private house in the middle of the night? What do you want? Helanjin spoke first, wishing to get to the bottom of this problem. Point two. Sitting on Xiao Hanya's lap, Helanjin suddenly noticed that he was getting hot, like a volcano that would explode without warning. Was he sick too? Xiao Hanya could not help but laugh when he heard that Helanjin was renting the house. He lifted his upper body from the sofa, held her by the waist, and pushed her up away from his lap. Point two. Renting a house? Xiao Hanya asked. Is that what you and I are doing now? Xiao Hanya's deep black eyes glinted as he twisted Helanjin's words, teasing her. Point two. Helanjin was stunned by what Xiao Hanya said and did. She stood up and looked straight, not daring to look at him, lest she saw something she shouldn't see. Point two. Helanjin stared at the mirror in front of her and saw her reflection, obscuring his nakedness. She felt a loss, her mouth dry. Point two. Cut the crap, snapped Helanjin. Why did you break into my bedroom in the middle of the night? What are you trying to do? Helanjin scolded Xiao Hanya as she tried to suppress the strange feeling she was starting to get. Point two. When Helanjin first entered the room, she did not pay much attention to it. Now with him in the room, she has realized that it was, indeed, a room simply but elegantly designed for a man. The room seemed to quietly tell her that she was the one who made a mistake, that it was really Xiao Hanya's room. Point two. Miss He, you're already up here. It seems obvious. Xiao Hanya seemed to be deep in thought as he looked at her back. Point two. Helanjin gritted her teeth. How dare him tease her? She crouched down to grab the towel on the floor and, still not looking, threw it backwards at Xiao Hanya. At least have the decency to cover yourself up. Helanjin huffed. Point two. Oh, Xiao Hanya caught the towel, got up, and fastened the towel on his waist. Point two. He walked behind her and looked at the side of her flushed face. It was interesting. Helanjin suddenly remembered the tracking device she placed on Xiao Hanya's shirt. She had forgotten all about it after the drama in the He residence. If he found it, then he must suspect her of following him. But she wasn't following him. This house was rented by Qin Nan, right too? I need to make a call, Helanjin said as she searched the floor for her phone. As soon as she found the phone, she ran to the balcony to call Qin Nan. Helanjin was floored when Qin Nan told her that he was very drunk, and that the message Helanjin got was sent by a girl he just picked up. Point two. Qin Nan, the time of your death is coming, Helanjin coldly said before hanging up. Point two. Helanjin took one deep breath after another. Standing on the balcony, she looked up at Jiang City's night sky. She clutched her phone, remembering how easy it was to place a tracking device on Xiao Hanya when he saved her this morning. She did that so she could follow Xiao Hanya, sneak in on him, and take back her old phone, which contained the evidence she needed. Point two. Now that she was inside the wolf's nest, she could not just leave. Point two. Helanjin had every reason to believe that she would get the missing phone back. Why else would she end up here? 2. Listen well. I have paid the rent. Now, this bedroom belongs to me. I'll have to trouble Mr. Chiao and politely ask him to get out, Helanjin decisively said as she left the balcony and returned to the room. She said it with an air of confidence, hoping that she would be allowed to stay. Point two. Xiao Hanya seemed to be deep in thought. He looked at her, and a meaningful smile formed at the corners of his mouth. Point two. What are you smiling at? Helanjin could not help but ask. His smirk was driving her mad. Point two. The man approached her, lowered his head, and pressed his thin lips against her ear. We live under the same roof, Xiao Hanya whispered. Is that considered cohabitation? 2. Cohabiting with you? Helanjin huffed and puffed, and there was a great discomfort in her ear. She felt her heart beat faster, as if it would burst out of her chest. Point 2. She walked past Xiao Hanya, opened the door, and said, "A man and a woman together in a room in the middle of the night. How is that proper? Get out. Now, too. Oh, I'm sure it's inappropriate." Xiao Hanya looked straight into Yilanjin's eyes and, sure enough, walked out of the room. Point 2. Having just returned from his errand, Han Beiqing was stunned to see a man and a woman by the master's door in the middle of the night, with their clothes disheveled. What surprised him the most was that the man was Xiao Hanya. Was Jiang City a sacred place that could push a man without 7 emotions and 6 desires to have sex? 2. If it were not for supernatural causes, it would really be difficult for Han Beicheng to believe that Xiao Hanya would actually touch a woman. Point 2. Han Beicheng got so distracted with these thoughts that he missed a step on the stairs and fell forward, hitting his knees on the lower ST. Xiao Hanya exited the room, having been invited out by Yilanjin. He looked back thoughtfully and watched her slam the door. Point 2. Master. As soon as the door closed, Han Beicheng stepped forward. Secretly wiping the cold sweat on his forehead, he said in a low voice, "I discovered that Huang has been growing his investments. He wants to lure he winching into the game. In fact, Huang is just using the greedy he winching as a scapegoat. 2. Let Huang be arrogant for 2 more days," Xiao Hanya said coldly. Point 2. His voice felt like frost that suddenly suffused the room. Han Beicheng was so scared that he shivered. Point 2. Master, although this Huang is detestable and has defiled many women, he has nothing to do with our purpose of returning to Jiang City. Your wish to destroy him, is it because of Miss He? Han Beicheng asked in a low voice. Point 2. He regretted having asked the question as soon as it came out of his mouth. Han Beicheng secretly pinched himself for his impudence. Point 2. Why not? Xiao Hanya asked, not hiding anything. Point 2. Han Beicheng was so shocked that his jaw almost fell to the floor. He looked up at Xiao Hanya. Han Beicheng could not believe his ears. Point 2. Then, the person in the room, was that Miss He? Han Beicheng was dumbfounded. That's not right. Jing Garden is heavily guarded by our men and set up with laser rays. The system spares no one and kills whoever enters. How did the young miss get in, too? The system would not even spare a fly. Did that miss outsmart the system again? 2. I put her there, Xiao Hanya said coldly. He turned around and strode back to the study room, closing the door. Point 2. Han Beicheng found it hard to breathe. He was so shocked that he stared at the study door and then at the bedroom door. He silently raised his hand to touch his chin and said, "What is happening here? Are they planning something I do not know?" 2. Is this airy? Fornication? Is his master looking for excitement? Is this a one-night stand? Is it a date? F***CK? Han Beicheng felt like his brain was going to explode. Point 2. Han Beicheng had followed Xiao Hanya for many years. His master had always exercised decorum and propriety in dealing with matters, and had never been involved with women. Did Jiang City inspire an epiphany in Xiao Hanya? What had this city done to the young master? 2. The study room door suddenly opened. "Send her some food," Xiao Hanya ordered. Point 2. Han Beicheng was interrupted from his thoughts. He asked distractedly, "Master, are you asking me to send food to Miss He, too?" Xiao Hanya looked at Han Beicheng straight in the eye, causing the latter to do a double take. I'll go right away," Han Beicheng said as he turned around to run downstairs. The secret guards in the dark all raised their heads and stared at the bedroom upstairs, as if there was a time bomb inside. Point 2. In the bedroom, too, Yilanjin felt her heart pounding against her chest as she locked the door behind her. She wanted to locate the tracker that she placed on Xiao Hanya, but even before she could open the tracker app on her phone, she saw the tracker on the sofa. Point 2. Yilanjin sat cross-legged on the sofa and remembered the tiny surveillance camera she saw earlier on her way to this room. If she could hack into the system, she might be able to secretly locate her old phone. She absolutely could not let Xiao Hanya find out that she was looking for her phone. She did not know what he would do with the phone's contents. Point 2. With her new phone, Yilanjin hacked into the scenery garden surveillance system. It was complex, but she was able to find a loophole. She looked closely at the screen as she waited for the video feed to appear. Point 2. She heard the faint sound of running water before a naked figure appeared on the screen. It was toned to perfection. Helan Jean could not look away. And then the person turned around and looked straight at her point too. Xiao Hanya. Helan Jean was stunned. How could the system lead her to him, showering naked in the middle of the night? Too. As if he felt someone peeping at him, Xiao Hanya looked intently at the camera for half a second. His mouth curled into a tiny smile. He shook off the water droplets on his upper body and reached out to turn the camera off point two. Helan Jean heard a pop, and the screen turned pitch black. She stared at her phone for a long time, unable to come back to her senses point two. The only camera I can access is the bathroom where he takes a shower. Could he have done it on purpose? Helan Jean's heart beat faster. She threw away her phone, thinking that she must be seriously ill. How did she offend such a person, too? Helan Jean lay in bed and was surprised by a knock on the door. It was Han Beicheng, bringing her some food. He said that it was a late-night benefit for tenants. For some unknown reason, she had a late-night snack point too. The word benefit brought to mind recent events. Liu Zifen's desire to take over the He Corporation, He Ruoshue's betrayal, and He Wenqing's drunken attempt to sell Helan Jean. As the only daughter of the He family, Helan Jean vowed to never let anyone use her and take away everything from the family point too. CEO Huang of the Tianchong Group is holding a charity event tomorrow at Jiangxing Center. He is said to adopt a batch of orphans and train them into becoming model citizens. Are you one of the lucky orphans to be chosen? The news flash on television caught Helan Jean's attention point too. The child-molesting pervert actually wanted to make a big show out of adopting orphans. His motives were definitely impure point too. Charity, huh? Helan Jean sneered and turned off the news. She closed her eyes and lay on the bed, her hands gripping the sheets tightly. After a long while, an idea suddenly flashed through her mind point too. The next morning, too, Helan Jean got up very early and went straight to the city center point too. From afar, she saw Director Huang, with his fat head and big ears, staring at a child in a suggestive manner. He took a lollipop from his pocket and walked over to the little girl point too. Helan Jean put on a dust mask, sunglasses, and a baseball cap to disguise herself. As she came closer, she heard Director Huang talking to his assistant. He Wenqing, that stupid pig, thought that I would pull him out just because he gave me his daughter to sleep with? Ha ha, the women I have slept with could go around the world, and all of them were virgins, too. You're right, Director Huang. The assistant smiled apologetically point two. That person actually dared kick my precious jewels and hurt my vitality. Director Huang harumphed. This time I will adopt a little virgin to relieve my craving, too. Fat people had fat and weak kidneys. They could not last without going to the toilet every few minutes. Director Huang was no exception point two. As soon as the director entered the toilet, the lights went out. It took him a few seconds before he realized that his head was covered by some kind of rough fabric. His attackers pushed him to the floor, bound his hands with some rope, and kicked him repeatedly. Then they took off the sack from his head and pressed his face into the toilet bowl. He could not help but drink a little urine as he struggled and opened his mouth to breathe point two. Save me, save me. Director Huang pleaded when his head was raised from the bowl. Helan Jean smiled and pushed his head down the toilet again. Her smile deepened as she took the director's phone from his pants pocket. She left shortly, leaving the director's head in the toilet. With her phone, Helan Jean hacked the surveillance system in the toilet to cover her tracks and then proceeded to go through the contents of the director's phone point too. Helan Jean saw nearly 1,000 videos of young girls being molested by the director. The pervert was actually keeping them as souvenirs, too. Realizing that his perpetrators have left, Director Huang ran out of the restroom. He told his assistants that he had a mishap and had fallen in the toilet, not wanting them to know that he got beaten up. After changing into clean clothes, the director was invited up the stage. The charity event went on as planned, broadcast live on national television point two. Today, Director Huang is launching his program for the adoption of homeless children. We are proud to announce that he has also built an orphanage and a school. The program host beamed as he spoke into the microphone. This is how the beloved director wants to show his love for the children of Jiang City. 2. Dressed in a neatly pressed suit, CEO Huang walked up the stage while the crowd applauded. He took the microphone from the host and said, "I promise to organize an adoption event every year. I hope that it will reduce the number of children living on the streets, too. That person actually dared kick my precious jewels and hurt my vitality. This time, I will adopt a little virgin to relieve my craving." Ha ha, the women I have slept with could go around the world, and they were all virgins, too. The director's words rang out from the loudspeaker, playing over and over point two. What's going on? CEO Huang started panicking. The staff at the scene were also stunned. They could not understand what was happening point two. The technician manning the speaker system was frightened. Someone has hacked into our system and forcefully added these. We can't delete them, he reported point two. Turn it off, turn it off. CEO Huang was frantic. Exposing his true colors would cause his business to plummet. The stock market would definitely collapse point two. The director was at a loss. With his money, he had always been able to quiet down whoever wanted to expose him. But now that he was being broadcast live, there was no way to block the expose. The whole world would know, too. Precious jewels. Without warning, a video popped up on the projector screen. A succession of clips showing the director molesting different women. The women's faces were erased, revealing only the director's deplorable appearance.